2 years ago in
2
this
years
room, as a
ago.
matter of fact, didn't we?
Yep.
Yes, okay. And I was giving a workshop, and we had these microphones around the room, and Betty was standing in line behind one of these, and she was first in line behind one of them, but other people were talking, and I kept calling on other people, right?
Oh, yeah.
And Betty finally
like an
said,
hour.
Gary. Am I doing this right? He says, I'm over here, my name is Betty, and my issue is I'm having a hard time putting myself forward, and I'm standing here and you're not calling on me. Talk about radiating things, huh?
Absolutely.
So for whatever the reason, as time has gone on from childhood to today, it's been difficult for you to put yourself forward. Is it difficult to stand here or sit here?
A lot has changed since last Flagstaff, and so it's a lot easier.
Okay.
And
What's your 0 to 10 intensity right now, just sitting
just
here?
for being here?
Yeah.
5 or 6, a little
5 or
nervous
6.
quality, kind of excited, but also nervous.
That's okay.
Yeah, a little nervous.
We'll do a little bit of that, okay? Even though I'm nervous,
Even though I'm nervous,
really nervous.
really nervous.
I'm going to put myself forward.
Put myself forward.
Whether I like it or not.
Whether I like it or not.
I've been improving.
Been improving.
Apparently I got another level to go.
Another level to go.
Okay. I deeply, completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I better.
I better.
I'm not sure who else will.
I'm not sure.
I got to
Who
put
else
myself
will?
out forward for get anybody's feedback,
Put
right?
myself out forward.
Are you still
There
5
we
or
go.
6?
No, feels a lot better.
Well, estimate a number for me. But please be accurate. It's
Okay,
important
I'll
to be
be
accurate.
accurate.
Because,
I feel quite comfortable. I'd say 0.
I take a look at all
Yeah.
those people. They're all
It's
staring.
okay.
They're staring at you.
It's okay.
Watch them stare at her. Go ahead, stare.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'll stare at you.
Okay.
But anyway, since that workshop, there's been a lot of improvement. You and I have talked on the phone a few times. You have, in the meantime, developed a rather popular, I understand, email list.
Yes.
Okay, what else have you done?
Yes.
To put yourself forward?
Well, I wrote a manual, and that's how we decided to do this issue. And I've created some CDs with hypnotherapy and EFT. And they have my artwork on them.
And they're over there for sale, aren't they?
And to tell the truth, even getting ready to come here, I was back and forth between excitement and like, oh my God, what am I doing? I mean, I really felt the intensity of just the vulnerability of when you do this, you're out there, somebody's not going to like it, perhaps,
Well, that's absolutely
et cetera,
true.
et cetera,
I
et
don't care
cetera.
what you do, somebody's not going to like it.
I
I don't care
right.
who you are, somebody's not going to like it.
Yeah, and I
How
have to
are
be
you going
okay
to
with
please
that.
thousands and thousands of
Right.
writings on people's walls? You're not going
Right.
to do it.
Right.
There's no entertainer in history has done that. There's no
Right.
president that's ever done that.
This is true.
Even though no president has done it,
Even though no president has
I think
done
I
it.
can.
I think I can.
or I think I should.
I think I should.
I should be able to be perfect for everybody.
I should be able to be perfect for everybody.
For everybody.
For everybody.
Perfection for everybody.
Perfection for everybody.
Call me president.
Call me president. Ah!
I want to be popular.
I want to be popular.
At any cost.
At any cost.
Well, in a way, when you put yourself out there, you put yourself out there also for rejection.
Yeah.
You put that out there for applause, and
Yes.
both those. And the applause is okay. Is it?
Yeah, it actually feels really good.
we have an
I've gotten
applause
some
for
good.
Betty?
It does feel good.
Now, I'd like to know your true reaction. What was your true reaction?
It really does feel good. And with the manual, for instance, I've gotten a lot of emails back from people who are really enjoying it and have really had a lot of kind things to say. And it feels good. I don't feel intensity about that side of it.
Okay. Let me ask you this. If instead of people writing back and say, hey, I really like your manual.
Oh my God, I could feel it. You say that, I'm going, oh. Yeah, that's intense.
Okay. There's two responses to that. One is Betty's current intense response, which we will deal with in a moment. Okay. But the other one is, oh gee, I guess I better redo it.
Yeah.
Because somehow or other they're not buying it.
That's true.
Okay, but that doesn't fly here because if you don't get these good accolades, something is wrong. So what I'm going to do, and by the way, just for borrowing benefits purposes, what I tend to want to do is start off very general. I didn't discuss this earlier. I start off very general because remember, borrowing benefits, some of the issues you may have can be pretty intense, and so I kind of want to sneak up on it. Although I don't think Betty needs to be sneaked up on. I'm going to do that anyway, because I'll be sneaking up on yours as well, okay?
Okay.
Okay. So even though I have this issue,
Even though I have this
see
issue,
how global that is? I deeply and completely accept
I
myself.
deeply and completely accept myself.
This issue,
This issue.
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 this issue.
This issue.
Even though I'd like to be able to please everybody in the world,
Even though I'd like to be able to please everybody in the world,
I deeply and completely accept
I
myself.
deeply and completely accept
I can't name a
myself.
single person
Can't name a single
who
person
pleases everybody in the
who
world.
pleases everyone.
Can't name a single person.
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 Not one person.
Not one person.
Anywhere.
Anywhere.
As a matter of fact,
As a matter of fact,
I can't name anybody. Go ahead.
as a matter of fact, I can't name anybody
That hasn't pissed off a whole bunch of people,
that hasn't pissed off a whole bunch of people,
including myself,
including myself.
and everybody in this room,
Everybody in this room.
and everybody who says you should be perfect.
Everybody who says you should be perfect. Yeah. That's good. That's good. That's good.
Well, that's a little reframe there, my dear. So
Can I talk about how we decide to do this
you can
demo?
talk about anything you wish.
I got this manual done back in January, early February, and I sent it to Gary because I wanted to just run it past you and make sure you were comfortable with what I was doing with EFT, because I really do feel, you know, EFT, how can I say, you're sort of the leader of EFT.
Okay.
And I just like for you to know what I'm doing, et cetera, if I'm putting it out there. And so then there was some kind of delay in our communication.
You also wanted my approval big time.
Back to me.
didn't you?
Yeah, I'm sure I wanted your approval big time. Yes,
Yes,
I'll admit.
okay.
I'm sure I did. And so there was a delay, and I think I ended up calling you, and you couldn't talk right then because you were busy. It was like a Saturday, and you said, well, I'm really sorry, I can't talk right now. I'll call you tomorrow, we'll talk. And I read that as, oh my God, he hates my manual. Oh my God, he just doesn't want to tell me how much he hates my manual. I am so crushed. And I wrote you an email of some kind that said something like, well, Gary, if you really don't like what I'm doing, we can talk about it. I'd like to, you know, find a way to make this work, blah, blah, blah. And when we did talk, you said, dear, you were so triggered. And it was true. Because when we talked, you said, oh, fine. You know, this
Okay.
manual is fine. I like what you're doing, et cetera. So, yeah, I just completely collapsed into my stuff. Big time.
The table,
time.
the tabletop is I don't like rejection,
Yeah.
or the tabletop is
Yeah.
I have a hard time putting myself out there.
Yeah.
The tabletop might have a number of different labels
Yes.
for it.
Yeah.
Okay. But we need to get to the legs underneath the table.
Yes.
Okay. And if I recall correctly, we talked about you coming up here a little bit a few weeks ago. And I said, well, what specific events might be there? And I think you had some with your parents, your mother, et cetera, correct?
Actually, there's a high school one that's intense.
Okay. And as you say that, what number do you get to?
10.
How do you know? How do you know it's a 10?
Because I feel like I'm going to cry, and it hurts to go there. I've twice done the heart rate thing, and I was in tears both times, just sitting there holding it in my mind for 10 minutes or 5 minutes each time. It's really painful.
Okay. By the way, just so you know in the audience, one reason I'm tapping her now, she's already tuned into the problem, isn't she? She tuned in big. So as long as she's tuned in, we might as well just take the time to do a little bit of this, and maybe we even get a sigh or two. What do you think, huh? Is it still a 10?
No, maybe 8.
Okay. What physical signs do you have of it being the original 10 and now the 8? Is there, I mean, you said you were ready to cry, I got that,
yeah.
but is there a tenseness in the stomach or the chest or something
I'm
like that?
breathing better.
You're breathing
I'm
better?
breathing better, yeah.
Okay. So your breath was a little constricted before? Okay.
Yeah, and I started to feel shaky all over. I don't feel quite as shaky.
Okay. If this movie had a title, what would it be?
Mr. Smythe deals a mortal blow.
Mr. Smythe deals a mortal blow.
Yeah.
Even though Mr. Smythe deals a mortal blow. Go ahead.
Even though Mr. Smythe dealt me a mortal blow.
Okay, I've got to stop 1 second. Where were we? Mr. Smythe.
Mr. Smythe dealt me a mortal blow.
Even though Mr. Smythe dealt me a mortal blow,
Even though Mr. Smythe dealt me a mortal blow.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
And whether I realize it or not,
Whether I realized it or not,
I may have to accept Mr. Smythe.
I may have to accept Mr. Smythe.
That SOB
That SOB
was probably doing the best he could,
was probably doing the best he could,
given the writing on his walls,
given the writing on his
all
walls,
of his beliefs,
all of his beliefs,
his experiences,
his
what
experiences,
he thinks is supposed to be right,
what he thinks is supposed
and how
to
to
be
treat
right,
children
and how
and
to treat
students.
children and students.
Okay, I don't agree with it,
I don't agree with it,
but if I don't accept him,
but if I don't accept him,
if I don't have a little forgiveness going on here,
if I don't have a little forgiveness going
I'm
on,
going to pay the price.
I'm going to pay the price. Yeah.
He's not paying any
He's
price.
not paying any price.
He's someplace else.
He's someplace else.
He might even be dead by now.
Might even, possibly.
Possibly. Okay.
He's young, he was young.
He was young, huh?
He was a
Okay.
student teacher.
He was a student teacher.
Yeah.
Okay. Even though student teachers should know everything about how to be student teachers. Okay.
Even though student teachers should know everything about how to be good teachers.
They should have all the experience in the world.
They should have all the experience in
From
the
the
world.
beginning.
From the beginning.
Okay. And they shouldn't do what they did with me.
They shouldn't do what they did with me.
Shame on Mr. Smythe.
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 Shame on Mr.
How old was Mr.
Smythe.
Smythe?
Probably 21.
21 years old.
21 years old.
21-year ogre.
21-year-old.
The monster of 21.
The monster of 21.
Okay. Say the movie title again.
Okay, Mr. Smythe dealt me a mortal blow.
Okay. Now, if that was a 10,
Yeah.
is it a 10 now?
No, it feels better.
Well,
There's a little
estimate a
humor
number.
here. 7.
A 7.
Yeah.
How do you know it's a 7?
I'm breathing better. I'm not shaky anymore, and I was laughing.
Okay.
I've never laughed about this
But you're doing
issue.
this.
Well, yes, I am still a little
Okay.
braced for telling the story.
Okay. Well, I don't even know if we're going to get to the story, you know. You may be defective and we won't go there. Is that a mortal blow?
Not mortal, but it feels a little shaky here.
Just testing. Just testing. I'm going to do that again, just so you know, okay? Okay.
Sure, that's
Okay.
fine. That's
Does
fine.
Mr. Smythe have a first name?
I didn't know in high school we weren't supposed to call our student
Okay.
teachers by first name.
Now, was this a religious high school, regular
Nope.
public school?
Regular public school.
Regular public school. And was there a certain course he was teaching?
It was the English class, and the context was we were supposed to do something creative. And I felt very intimidated because I was not one of the cool, creative kids. I was not one of the popular kids. I was smart, and I could do the smart academics. But the creative thing really was scary.
Okay.
And he was also very intellectual, and he taught us Yeats and taught us a lot about poetry, and he was downright arrogant. But at the time, we thought he was really a cool guy. And so,
Okay.
you know,
Even though he was a cool guy.
even though he was a cool guy,
And
you
I put him up on a pedestal.
put him on a certain pedestal.
And he didn't put me up on
He
one.
didn't put me on one.
He should have,
He should have,
but he didn't.
but he didn't.
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 He didn't. He didn't. He didn't.
Now, Mr. Smythe, well, actually, you, if I understand it right, you have certain, you developed, this is going to be my term, so you need to correct me if
Okay.
if any of this doesn't fit, you know. You developed certain rules
Yeah.
about how a student teacher should be or how a teacher should be, okay? And if he violates those rules, then you feel rejected.
Well, this one's a pretty strong violation of what most people, I think, would,
Okay. So it's a violation of most people's rules.
of most people's sensitivities.
Oh, okay, all right. Okay, when you say that, what number do you get to?
6.
A 6?
Yeah.
Okay, is that a breathing thing you're feeling?
Yeah, my body feels calmer.
All right,
Yeah.
all right.
I kind of feel like I will need to tell the story. It's like a
Well, I don't
10-second
have that need
one. Okay, what I'm saying is, it's a brief one, so just so you know.
Okay, yeah, I know. But I'd still like to sneak up on a little bit if I can, if that's all right. We'll get to the story.
Okay.
I'll let you tell your story.
Okay,
What I'd like to do is go at this from the physical level
Okay,
first.
okay,
You
fine.
talk about your breathing.
Okay, okay.
So this is what I'd like, this is sort of our breathing constriction thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's on one of our tape sets, video sets. We're just going to take a really deep breath. What we're going to do is try to test the capacity of our lungs. Okay? And so this is, let me do it for you first. You know, you'll come down like, you let it all go out, you know, and then you, as much as you can.
Okay.
And then let it out. We're going to do that twice just to kind of get a stretching effect in your lungs.
Okay.
Okay? So we're going to go ahead, just go. Everybody do it. You know, don't hyperventilate, so we just take a second here. We'll do it again. In. Okay, now this time we're going to do it a third time. And now that we have a little stretching effect going on in the lungs, we'll do it again. And this time, this may not be a question you've ever been asked before, so you're going to maybe have to just estimate or something. I need to take a little thing here. I've just got the 5 minutes now. We're going to go well beyond the 5 minutes. We will have one larger break today, okay, just so you know. But anyway, so you haven't been asked this question before, but what I'd like to have you do is take a deep breath and then estimate the extent of that breath and how close it is to your what you would perceive to be your maximum. If your maximum is a 10, did you get to an 8? Did you get to a 6? Did you what? Okay?
Okay.
So let's try it again, okay?
Maybe 5.
Maybe, oh, you're half of what you think you could be.
Yeah.
Okay. By the way, you
It's
might
not
want to write
really
your own
open.
numbers down too, as a matter of fact.
It's not really open up here.
It's not opening up in the lower part
Upper
of your
chest.
lungs.
Yeah.
Or upper chest.
More like upper chest.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, even though I have Mr. Smythe in my chest.
Even though I have Mr. Smythe in my chest.
And somehow or other, he's constricting my breathing.
And somehow or another, he's constricting my breathing.
It's not my response, of course.
It's not my response, of course.
all his fault.
It's all his fault.
It's not what I make of it.
Not what I make of it.
It's what that SOB did.
It's what he did.
He had no right to do it.
He had no right to do it.
May he never reach 22.
He never reached 22.
Breathing constriction.
Breathing constriction.
Mr. Smythe in my
Mr. Smythe in my
breath.
chest, in my breath.
In my breath, okay. Mr.
Yeah,
Smythe in my
Mr. Smythe in my chest.
Mr. Smythe in my chest.
Mr. Smythe in my chest.
There we go. Mr. Smythe
Mr. Smythe in my chest.
A little louder.
Mr. Smythe in my chest. Mr. Smythe in my chest.
All right, say what was the mortal, what was it? Say the sentence again.
Mr. Smythe dealt me a mortal blow.
Okay, and what number is that when you say that?
4.
It's a 4.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's take another breath to see if we should get to a 5. Okay? Or better, go 5.
It's a lot better.
Okay. If it was a 5 by comparison, it is.
8.
Oh, it's an 8.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
a lot better.
Okay. All right. All right. Even though Mr. Smythe is still in my chest,
So Mr. Smythe is still in my chest.
his head's out of my chest,
His head's out of my chest.
but his feet are still there,
His feet are still there.
and so's his waist,
So's his waist.
and a few other things I'd rather not mention.
A few other things I'd rather not mention.
This is your mental image, dear, okay? You can make of it what you want. There you are. Remaining Mr. Smythe in my chest.
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 Now, we haven't talked about this story yet, but I want to ask you a question before we even go into the story. Was Mr. Smythe doing the best he could, given the writing on his walls?
Very possibly, yeah.
Well, yeah, but don't say that just because that's one of my beliefs.
No, I believe that very much myself. That's one of my beliefs.
Oh, it is? Did
Yeah.
you believe that before you sat here?
Yeah.
Before you even walked in the door and this
Yeah.
works out? Okay, he's doing
Yeah.
the best he could.
Yeah, and I hope he's learned a lot since then.
Okay.
He had a 21-year-old's ignorance. And I want to say, without being, I hate to say blanket terms, but sort of a male ego 21-year-old
Well,
ignorance.
listen, males have egos at 63.
I know, but I just see this young male sort of, look how smart I am stuff.
Yeah, okay.
And I certainly understand, I mean, I really have thought about, I think I know where he was coming from, and I can see why he would be there. And again, I hope he learned
Sure.
that was a
Well, we all
limited
have-
place to be.
Yeah, we all have egos. I mean, there are women who say, look how beautiful I am
Yeah,
stuff. Okay,
yeah.
I mean, look how smart I am stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have this kind of stuff,
Yeah.
okay? But his was inappropriate. both in your eyes, as far as you're concerned, the world's eyes.
Well, his was one that hurt a lot, dealt a mortal blow, and yeah, I feel it.
Okay, what number? Give me a number.
The hurt of it's a 10.
The hurt of it.
The hurt of it's a 10, yeah.
Okay. What does hurt mean, though?
Pain, I mean, emotional pain that was so intense. I know I would do a lot never to feel that again.
Okay.
It was really intense.
Okay. So are you at a 10 at the moment?
9.5.
Okay, well, we'll call it a 10. Okay. Engineers round up. Just stay with me, okay?
It's getting better.
What I'm curious about is when you tuned into it this time,
Yeah.
and you have the tears and the intensity, and you want your
Yeah, I'll take a tissue, thank you.
tissues. And you have the intensity. Did you tune into it in any different manner than you first started?
I think I must have. Let me think what that would be. Yeah, it was. It was like the tension, the sort of blow, tensing against the blow was gone. And maybe that's why the pain just rolled right up. When I first got up here, I was...
the blow.
Yeah, when I first...
Was there a physical hit in this?
It was an emotional blow.
Oh, okay. Uh-huh.
Something like 8 words of an emotional blow. But anyway, I know when I got up here, I was feeling sort of braced, and I was feeling much softer. And when we said whatever, I don't know what you said. Oh, you were asking, what did he do to me or something? And I was saying, well, it was very painful. Yes, what I felt. It was pain.
Yeah.
Hurt. You said, what's hurt? I said, pain. And
Sure.
yeah, it just came right up without sort of my bracing against it.
Okay, so
Does
tell
that
the
make
story.
sense? Okay.
Stop
it's-
right there. I just want to know your emotional intensity when I say tell the story.
Oh,
As you get
I feel
in.
okay.
Oh, you do?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like
Okay.
saying it is probably going to bring up the rest. But
Well,
that's the whole point. I want
Yeah,
to...
that's the purpose of
get there.
what we're doing is the movie technique. You're going to
The movie
narrate
technique,
the movie
right.
now. But to remind you, what we do is we start in this movie. We start at some place where it's really kind of easy to talk
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
and then we
that's fine.
And so you'll get into this movie. The moment you get intense,
Okay.
it's very, very, very important to stop there. And I'm going to
Okay.
emphasize that not only for you, you're a pro at this, but for people and those that are watching, on the film, because there's a conditioning that goes on with conventional therapy that says, be brave and gut through it, and that's wrong here because if you do that, we miss an opportunity.
Yeah.
So the intensity, we got to have an opportunity. Now, what may happen is you may start here and you may get to here. You're still not even into the crux of the story, but you still may get intense because
Yeah.
you're looking forward. That's okay. You stop right here. Anyway.
Okay.
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 So on a scale of 0 to 10, how intense do you feel right now about telling the story?
I feel comfortable
Okay.
about starting.
Okay. Well, then get a start.
So
But
we'll
the
start.
moment you get intense,
Okay.
the moment you get intense, you got to stop. Okay.
Okay. So it seems really important to have that context of how I felt in high school, and I said it. I just did not feel like I fit in. I was not one of the popular kids. I didn't feel attractive. I didn't feel creative or cool or anything. I felt very nerdy and bookwormish and et cetera. So I was in a place where I didn't feel very safe.
If I can stop you a second.
Yeah.
So you would get input, you would perceive input from other kids, like you are nerdy, you
Yeah.
don't fit, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely.
Et cetera. And not even knowing the story, my guess is Mr. Smythe's comment put a great big cap on that.
Exactly.
Okay.
I think
All
I
right.
already had a lot of vulnerability just
Sure.
through
Okay.
that
All
time.
right.
So anyway, here was this assignment which struck terror to my soul because I thought, oh my goodness, I'm not creative. These other kids are so cool and so creative, but I'm just not creative because I didn't trust myself or feel.
Yeah, you're at about a 4, are you not?
Yeah, how'd you guess that?
Well, I don't know.
You're good.
I got this, I told you.
That's just about right.
Yeah, okay. Even though I had this 4,
And then I have this
and
four.
I didn't follow instructions,
I didn't follow
because I'm supposed to stop and tell Gary.
I'm supposed to stop and tell Gary.
not have Gary tell me.
Have Gary tell me.
No wonder I don't put myself out. I can't even follow instructions.
I can't even follow instructions.
Decades later, I'm still a nerd.
Decades later, I'm still a nerd. Oh, goodness. Okay.
Are you
That's
are you
good.
4?
No.
Okay.
That feels okay. That feels fine.
All right.
So I ended up coming up with a small little poem that brings up intensity.
Okay, and what number do we have for that?
8.
Okay. But you probably shifted ahead someplace. Are you shifting ahead to some Mr. Smythe or somebody's response to your poem?
I think what came in was, how dare I try to write a poem?
Okay. Even though I have no right to write a poem.
No right to write a poem.
Okay, or a newsletter. Or an email newsletter. Go ahead.
Or a newsletter, or an email newsletter,
Or a manual.
or a manual.
It needs Gary's approval.
It needs Gary's approval.
I deeply, completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Okay. The approval thing bothered you?
Yeah,
Okay, was it the word approval?
yeah.
Okay. Did that come up in some context other than just now?
Did that come up in some context other than just now? I think it's been an issue in my life.
Okay. When's the first time you can remember not being approved?
My father,
Your father?
yeah.
Okay. And what age was that?
Probably very early, just anytime you did something wrong, there was a silent disapproval.
A silent disapproval?
Yeah.
Can you teach me how to do that? I mean, how would I just...
For one thing, you read the paper and pretend nothing was said.
Like this?
Yeah.
So you'd be talking to me, I just
I'd
go
be
like
trying to
that?
talk about, and this is probably...
Would I have my legs crossed?
beyond-
Would I be-
yes, that's
Oh,
good.
I would?
That's good.
Oh, very good.
Yeah.
So I'd have my legs crossed?
Yeah, and
I
if
wouldn't
I were-
even look at you?
Yeah, and if I'm trying to talk about something that's meaningful to me, either it's uncomfortable or
Could I have a
whatever.
beer?
To tell the truth, my dad was sort of the opposite. He's very straight-laced and doesn't drink and doesn't
Okay.
smoke, and he's very into...
Would somebody get the beer out of the house?
That's right, okay. That's not bringing up any intensity.
Oh, it isn't?
No, no. I mean, it's funny how the father issue, there's been so much healing with that. I really worked on thinking about issues for tapping, this
Okay.
week, and I kept thinking, I can't come up with one that bothers me. There's been a lot of healing for that for me.
Well, I brought the subject of approval. You
And-
go back to father.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Okay.
sure that's a wiring that was in place when Mr. Smythe came onto this.
Well,
this
I
scene.
don't know if that wiring got cut, just prior to Mr. Smythe and he started all over again. I don't know.
The healing's recent, in the last 10 years of my father issues.
Okay, what'd
and
you call
such.
your father?
What I call him,
Father,
Daddy.
Daddy. Okay, is he still living?
Yes,
Okay. Even though Daddy didn't approve of me.
even though Daddy didn't approve.
Now, is that a
of
true
me.
statement?
Yeah, to some extent,
That's how you perceived it?
yeah.
Or he really didn't approve?
Well, I think my perception now is he didn't understand me.
Oh, okay. Well,
And some of the silent disapproval had nothing to do with disapproval. It was he was uncomfortable with who I was and how I was choosing
how do you
to
know
be.
that?
I know him better. We've had some talks about it.
So he was uncomfortable with who you were. Who were you? You the nerd or?
Well, I questioned things. I had an inquiring mind, and I didn't just accept
And
everything.
therefore you are a woman with an inquiring mind and women shouldn't be that way? I'm making this up. Is that right?
Well, I think it was sort of uncomfortable. He didn't know quite what
It
to
was
do
the
with
women
it,
being bright thing?
to some extent, or having a vision for yourself beyond being a housewife or a nurse or a teacher. I greatly respect nurses and teachers, but those were the only visions I got, and I became a teacher,
Oh, okay.
and that kind of thing.
All right.
So-
All right. Even though I danced
Even though I danced
to Daddy's music,
to Daddy's music.
and I heard the writing on his walls,
Yeah, the writing on his walls.
and he wrote it all over my walls.
He wrote it all over my
And
walls.
even though I've resolved all this,
Even though I feel pretty resolved with all of this.
I still have discomfort
Still have discomfort.
not being a teacher.
Not being a teacher.
Is that right?
No,
Oh, okay.
no, these feel good right now. I mean,
Okay.
I'm being,
Okay, I'm just fishing. I always
yeah,
fish.
please do.
I'm always fishing.
Please do. We may come up with one
Okay.
with
Say,
this,
say Mr.
but
Smith dealt me a mortal blow.
Mr. Smythe.
Dealt me a mortal blow.
Yeah, that still hurts.
That still hurts,
Yeah.
okay? Take a deep breath from me and tell me what number you get to.
Maybe an 8. The
I mean,
breath
that's
is
where,
better.
That's where it was before.
Yeah, the breath
Okay.
is better.
That's where it was before. Okay, we were telling the story, though, weren't we?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And so we got to a 4, we got the 4 down to 0, but then where we,
The,
remind me
what
where
brought
we
it
went.
up again was that I chose to write a poem. Now, that feels
Yes.
okay to say now.
Oh, so it was okay to say?
Yeah,
Okay.
it feels okay to
Okay.
say. And it was a simple poem, and it was just about my feelings about rain, of all things, because I was
Rain.
sort of introverted, and I liked it when it would rain. I could be home with my books and my journal.
Uh-huh.
And that was what the poem was about.
Okay.
And I feel a little intense. It
Okay.
feels vulnerable, like,
Okay. Does it feel like people are going to judge your poem?
yeah, it feels,
Do you remember your poem?
yeah,
You
one
remember?
line. It feels, yeah, this really feels,
Okay.
this brings it up.
Okay. So what about the poem? What about the poem is the problem?
I know what comes up is it was stupid. What a stupid poem that comes up.
How old were you?
16.
Okay. 16-year-olds are supposed to write brilliant poems? That was a question.
16-year-old beginners that never wrote a poem in their life are supposed to have some leeway
Okay.
if they write a poem. That's not
And he didn't
supposed to
give
be
you
that
any leeway.
judged.
He
Yeah,
didn't
the
give you any
judge.
leeway.
The judgment was severe.
All right. So what were the 8 words you said? Go ahead.
As the story goes.
Just give me the 8 words right now.
Well, I can I just say one
Okay,
one
go
line?
ahead.
The line was the classroom, sitting there. I don't remember what he'd done before this, but he picked up my paper. He said, well, this is an example of a bad poem.
Okay.
And then, of course, it's interesting. I don't feel as bad saying that as I thought I would. I think you're tapping selfing, Gary.
But oh, no kidding. I'm going to bite you back, right?
Let me see how many. This
wait.
is an example of a bad poem. It was 8 words.
Yes.
And they slayed me.
But my question to you is that a comment on your poem, or is that a comment on his taste?
In the classroom, it was a comment on my poem as a teaching tool because he proceeded to take it line by line and tell us why it was bad.
Oh,
Every
okay.
single thing, he read it and he would say, now this is how you know, this is too blatant, this is too, she says what she means rather than making it more metaphorical. She doesn't
How
have
do you
any
feel when you say
imagery
that?
here. I'm not feeling the intensity
Oh, okay.
as badly. I mean, I feel like a 6, but it's not like,
Well, you feel like a 6.
yeah, I mean, I feel it, well, it was like 10 off the scale. It was so intense, I wasn't sure I could talk about it, so, yeah.
What makes you, how do you know you're a 6? How do you know you're not a 2? or
First
a
of all,
0?
I'm not crying a lot. I've got a
Okay.
few tears, but I'm not crying to the point I can't talk.
Uh-huh.
That's a 10 plus.
Okay.
And secondly, I just don't feel the intensity and the tension. My shoulders would tense up like bracing against that blow. That was such a horrible
Okay.
blow, I didn't expect it. You know, I mean, who expects that?
Well, yeah, and you know, I don't think, I mean, anybody at any age, regardless of whether you're a 16-year-old girl, and you know, anybody
Yeah.
who's 16 feels a little vulnerable. You know, I mean, you're trying to make yourself in the world, one thing and another. And here comes some adult without the proper sensitivity.
Yeah.
Now, I wasn't there. I don't know, but I'm trying to put myself in his shoes. And it would be unlikely that you correct me, okay? It would be unlikely that he was really saying to himself, aha, here's a way to bring Betty down to her knees. I'll get her for all of this. you
Nothing,
know.
nothing personal in that respect, but to use your own creation as a teaching tool for how bad a creation can be, and not know you're hurting someone. Like I say, I hope he's learned something since that time, because
Yes.
that to me is just,
Well, logically speaking, whose problem is it?
logically speaking, it's mainly mine, although if he went ahead to be a teacher, it might be more than mine.
Okay. In my logic, it's mostly his, because he's the one
Really?
that made, oh, that's my logic. Okay. But see, logic.
mine right now.
Yeah, we're not talking about logic here. I mean, I just mentioned logic.
Okay.
But see, if we all just did things that were logical, nobody would ever need a therapist.
Right.
Because we respond emotionally.
Right.
Okay. Now, but logically, to my way of thinking, he made a big boo-boo.
Yeah.
He was insensitive. He was hurting your feelings. He was landing on you emotionally.
Yeah.
My guess is if he really knew how badly you felt, he would have stopped. That's my guess. But I don't know.
That's likely. I don't think he was a bad person, and I've never considered him a bad person. I think at the time, I don't feel this way now, but I think at the time I almost felt that sense. I know the shame was intense. And so it was almost like I didn't exactly deserve the public humiliation, but my poem deserved it because it was that bad. And I was ashamed I'd written it, you know, that kind of thing. I felt such a level of, well, it was such a bad poem.
What was the poem?
The only line I remember is, the rain soothes my soul, gentle peace is its roll. And that's the only line.
Gentle Peace is what?
Gentle peace is its roll.
Like R-O-L-E?
R-O-L-E.
Now, how is that better or worse than Jack and Jill ran up the hill? No, I want your critic's view of that. How is that better or worse than Jack and Jill went up the hill?
personally, now that I know more about poetry and have a whole different understanding of things, I would say it's fine. It's a person's expression from their own being, and whatever words they chose is good poetry.
Okay, so who says it's bad poetry?
People that, like Mr. Smythe, had literary critics' vision and were looking for metaphors and roundabout, oblique ways to say things, etc. I felt like I was sort of being compared to Yeats. We just learned all of this stuff in Yeats, and somehow I hadn't learned Yeats well enough to do it myself.
Well, actually, I would like to be compared to Elvis, if you want to compare somebody to somebody, but see, but what I'm hearing is that's your perception. Your perception is he was comparing you to Yeats.
It felt that way. He was trying to teach us why Yeats was so great, and Betty was not.
Even though Mr. Smythe.
Even though Mr. Smythe.
His crappy taste.
His crappy taste.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
He thinks I need to be Yeats.
He thinks I need to be Yeats.
And if I'm not,
he's
going to land all over me.
He's going to land all over me.
The school nerd.
The school nerd.
He should have known better. Actually, he should have known better.
He should have known
better.
But he didn't. But he didn't.
Apparently he didn't.
Apparently he didn't.
Is that true?
Yes.
Apparently he didn't.
Yes.
I mean, what I'm hearing is a major sensitive boo-boo.
Yeah. What I would say is, from the perspective I mentioned before, I mean, he just seemed like this hotshot college kid, senior in college, thinks he knows so much, he's going to go in there and show up the teachers that don't know all he knows. Okay. And he's got the prime material to show what he knows about poetry. With this quote-unquote bad poem, he can show everything he knows about poetry by picking my poem apart, and it put him, like I say, in the hot dog seat, the driver's seat.
By the way, if I may, I'm going to just draw on that for just a moment. People do that all the time. In fact, I'll be willing to bet you even you do it under a different name. Let me tell you what I'm talking about, okay?
Like what?
Did you ever notice, not you now, did other people that gossip?
I actually have a no gossip policy because I know how much. I mean, that's a big deal for me.
Do people gossip?
Yeah.
Okay. And when they gossip, I'm going to kind of make this up, but did you see what he did?
Yeah.
I would never do that.
Yeah.
Okay. Kind of thing?
Well, I have to.
And they go back and forth.
I have to admit, I have a little thing called Gossip with Love that I can do if I have to process.
Okay.
If I really have to process something deeply with a dear friend that's never going to repeat it, and we both surround that person with love and light, and we say it's not personal, we're not hurting them, but we got to get out what so it's gossip with love, but it's not hopefully causing the damage that the kind of gossip, I mean, I'm human, so yeah, I do have that little place of doing it.
The point I'd like to make on that is when people do and I'm doing the stereotype gossip, did you see what he did, that I wouldn't do that. So, but what's happening is two people are putting somebody else down.
Right.
For a reason.
Yeah.
And that's to elevate themselves. The other person's not even there to defend themselves. But that's what happens in gossip. Yeah. And gossip is a very typical thing. Everybody here does it, whether you call it gossip or not. That's just what goes on. You see. And from what I'm hearing, what you're telling me about Mr. Smythe and all that, while we really couldn't put it in the exact category of gossip, I'm hearing him elevate himself at the expense, inappropriately, at the expense of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
I think that's true.
Okay. Even though I was in the way.
Even though I was in the way.
Of Mr. Smythe's train.
Of Mr. Smythe's train.
And got hit.
And got hit.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Mr. Smythe's train is still rolling someplace.
Mr. Smythe's train is still rolling someplace.
He may be hitting other students.
He may be hitting other students.
But maybe somebody. Called him on it.
Called him on it.
He got a little more sensitive.
Got a little more sensitive.
And changed his ways.
And changed his ways.
But my issue now.
Is
my emotional response.
It's my emotional response. There we go.
To his inappropriate train.
To his inappropriate train.
Okay.
That's good.
Okay. My emotional response.
My emotional response.
To his train.
To his train.
My emotional response.
My emotional response.
I was devastated.
I was devastated.
I was flattened.
I was flattened.
It was a mortal blow.
It was a mortal blow.
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 They were just words.
They were just words.
But I took them as blows.
I took them as blows.
He might as well hit me with a hammer.
He might as well have hit me with a hammer.
Mortal blow.
Mortal blow.
Mortal blow.
Mortal blow.
Big blow.
Big blow.
Big time.
Big time.
Worst in the world.
Worst in the world.
Nothing worse than that blow.
Nothing worse than that blow.
He couldn't have done anything worse than that.
Couldn't have done anything worse than that.
Okay. if you would, let's do another breath, okay? I'm just curious what
Okay.
happens, okay? So, it's still an 8?
It's good. It's still an 8.
It's still
I
an
feel
8?
like my chest is still sort of holding something here.
Okay.
And the reason I came up with the title, Mortal Blow, was because I think the poet in me was the one that took the mortal blow. And I really didn't write in this, I can feel it. I didn't write another poem. I never even tried to write another poem for about 15 years and really never wrote one I liked till like 20 years. It was like, talk about writing on the walls holding us back.
Sure.
You know, I just couldn't do it. I could not put pen to paper. It was like, how can I?
Of course, because when you do that,
Yeah.
here come those emotions.
Yeah.
Here comes all that stuff.
The shame and the public humiliation was just so intense.
Well, when you want to put yourself out there,
Yeah.
what you're really doing is asking for this emotional response. You put yourself out there. You want to get your manual approved by Gary, okay?
I don't want Gary to shoot me down like Mr. Smythe did.
Yeah, okay. And so your whole world has been Mr. Smythe, or a good part of your world
Well,
is Mr. Smythe.
it's been there.
I mean, it's
It's
been the
been
vision
there.
of Mr. Smythe.
Yeah.
Okay, so you don't want to hit Mr. Smythe again
Yeah.
and have him hit you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if I think about, I mean, it's not as hard now, but if I think about somebody holding up my manual and saying, this is an example of a bad EFT manual. It actually doesn't feel so bad now, but I think it would have kept me from ever writing it in the beginning.
Say these words for me and tell me on a 10-point scale.
Okay.
10 is absolutely true. and
Okay.
0 is not true at all.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna get these words right. Okay.
Okay.
I would enjoy having Mr. Smythe over to dinner.
I would enjoy having Mr. Smythe over to dinner. That's a 10.
Well, yeah, but without the retribution in there. Okay.
Well, it's more, Mr. Smythe, I'd like you to know something about how I felt many years ago, without blame, without judgment. I simply think it's information for you.
Do you know where he is?
I have no idea.
Okay, so
No idea.
that's a dream you're not really going to fulfill,
Well,
right?
you know, I wonder. I mean, I don't know if it's my place to tell him. I might be able to track him down. I've never dreamed of doing that.
Well, is it important?
It doesn't feel that important. I feel he must have learned by
Well,
now.
whether
And if
he
he
learned,
has, I
whether
don't.
he learned or not,
That
there
would
are
be the
many,
only
many,
point.
many Mr. Smythes in the world.
Yeah, that's true.
They're all over the place.
Yeah.
Doing their damage, if you will, one
Yeah.
way or shape or form, whether they're aware of it or not. Many,
Yeah.
many, 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 many of them. And so, I mean, it would be nice, you know, to have some mission in life to take care of the Mr. Smythes and their
Yeah.
insensitivity. but-
Well, what happens with my children when anyone, you know, treats them really unfairly, particularly a teacher, I'm on the phone right away, and I just advocate in the sense of I need for you to know how my child felt when this happened.
Sure,
So I
because
do
you've had that experience.
Yeah. So I think that's
big
where
time.
it's probably happening.
Okay, do this
Yeah,
for me. Do
okay.
this for me. But only after I say, okay?
Okay.
I'm going to give you instructions first. That would be to close your eyes.
Oh. Let's start over.
Can I see your poem for a minute?
Okay, I'm going to listen first.
Okay, good. It would be, when I ask, to close your eyes and vividly imagine Mr. Smythe holding your poem up, saying this is a bad poem, okay? Now, I
Okay.
can already see it. Okay, what number is it?
Okay. You want me to close
No,
my
no, I
eyes
just want to know
now?
what number it is right now.
It doesn't feel big. It feels like maybe a 3.
No, your pupils.
Oh,
changed
it
a
showed
little
more
bit. Yeah,
than that?
a little bit, I
Okay.
think. Okay.
3, 4 maybe.
Okay, even though it's still a 3,
Even though it's still a 3,
I deeply, completely accept
I
myself.
accept myself completely.
Even though it's still a 3,
Even though it's still a 3.
I still got some of this left.
Still got some of this left.
I deeply, completely accept myself.
Deeply and completely accept myself.
Okay. Now, if you would get into detail
Okay.
on this, vividly
Okay.
imagine the moment you get intense, stop right there, but what I'd like to have you pay attention to is what in that thing triggered the intensity,
Okay.
if anything.
Okay, you mean like the movie version with
Yes.
details, et cetera?
Yes, yeah. Just get into it. The moment you get intense, you stop and tell me what about that really made you
Okay.
intense.
Okay. I mean, I can see him sitting on the desk, and he's got his suit and his glasses, and he's kind of this slender guy, and he picks up my paper. I'm thinking, oh my God, it's my paper. And so I'm like in suspended animation. I don't feel intense with that. And then he holds it up and says, folks, this is an example of a bad poem. I don't feel much.
Go ahead.
And then In the movie, I freeze, and I'm fighting tears, and my body's incredibly intense. I'm
You
trying
still
to
haven't
hide
done
it.
it right. I told you to close your eyes.
Oh,
No, I want to know what your emotional response was to that.
so you're telling me that? Nothing.
Okay, that's why I did it. It's a test. That's why I did it. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I got you. I got
Okay.
you. It didn't bother me for you to tell me you did
All
it.
right.
You did it wrong.
Okay.
That was fine.
All right.
Woo!
Well, go on with your Kathy
Okay.
poem.
So, eyes open or closed?
What?
That's okay. Eyes open or closed, or does it matter?
You said what?
Eyes open or closed? Or do you
Your
care?
choice, your choice.
Okay, I'll close my eyes.
You seem to want to be the
Close
creative
my
one
eyes.
here.
Okay, so
Don't you just love it? Can we have a standing ovation for Betty? Standing ovation, please.
thank you.
How do you feel about that? Poet laureate of Flagstaff.
It brings tears to my eyes, but they feel like gratitude that I'm getting this healing. This feels really good.
Good.
Yeah, this feels
All right.
good. So, okay, back to the story. I'm freezing, and I'm in the movie. Yeah, I'm in the movie. And I feel this. It was this need to hide, but I couldn't leave. That's hard.
Okay.
I wanted to run and hide, and I couldn't leave the classroom.
So this part of the movie's not bothering you?
Yeah.
The other part, when he's holding the thing up saying this is
That's
a bad
okay.
poem, that's okay.
It's
But now
okay.
what we have now is a new aspect, do I have that
Yeah,
right? A new
yeah.
piece of it?
Yeah.
Okay, now you want to run and hide.
Yeah.
Okay. One thing I want to point out to you doing Borrowing Benefits out there, whether you're watching on video or otherwise, notice how these aspects shift. If I hadn't pointed that out to her, you may not have been able to
Right.
discern that because it seems
Right.
so natural. It's just a natural part of this movie, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're right.
But now we seem to resolved parts of it, but now we've got this, another piece has come up, okay? Important to recognize, okay? So you want to run and hide?
Yeah.
Even though I wanted to run and hide,
Even though I wanted to run and hide,
I deeply, completely accept
I
myself.
deeply and completely accept myself.
Natural thing to do.
Natural thing to do.
Who wants to be criticized like
Who
that?
wants to be criticized like that?
Especially when you're 16.
Especially when you're 16.
And it's so important to be popular.
So important to be
I
popular.
wasn't very popular
I
anyway.
wasn't popular anyway.
I needed anything I could get.
Needed.
Is that true?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Absolutely.
And here I got just exactly the opposite.
And here I got just the opposite, exactly the opposite.
Some insensitive 21-year-old ego.
From some insensitive 21-year-old ego.
I just wanted to hide.
I just wanted to hide.
Now, did you want to hide because this may have been evidence, I'm making this up, I just want you to tell me, okay? This may have been evidence to the rest of the kids that you really were a nerd and weren't worthwhile and so on?
Yes. Yeah, you're right on target.
Okay.
The shame was so intense. It was,
Okay.
there are many different ways we feel pain. I think that was one of my most painful moments because it just hit all that core of shame that
Yeah,
at that
okay.
time I had.
Now, from
Yeah.
there, see that, we now have a tabletop called,
Yeah.
I Feel Ashamed.
Right.
Okay, I don't fit here.
I don't fit, I'm
I
not good
don't-
enough,
Yeah,
I'm not
okay.
acceptable,
And that's a
etc.
nice, big, broad
That's a
one,
huge
isn't
one.
it? That's got lots
Right.
of legs underneath it, okay?
Yep.
Can you think of a specific event that would be a leg under that table?
A different one.
Yes.
This was
Something
yeah.
that embarrassment you just talked about is bouncing off of. See, let me say it this way.
Okay.
It's one thing to have that embarrassing circumstance and to feel embarrassed and wanting to hide.
Yeah.
I mean, even if that all stood all by itself, one would feel that way,
Uh-huh.
especially if you're 16 years old.
Uh-huh.
It would be even worse if it reminds you of a bad one before that. I mean, it just
Uh-huh.
gets exaggerated to that point. And my guess is there's something even before that. Because see, if that one event was all by itself, chances are time would go by, blah, blah, blah. But it didn't. I mean, here you are 3 or 4 years later, right?
Good grief. Quite a few
yeah.
decades later.
Okay, but it's still around. So my
Yeah.
guess is there's something before that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I tell you what, why don't we do this? We're going to take a little break now.
Okay.
So where do we leave off?
I was telling the story I'd gotten to the place where I needed to hide. And we tapped for that, and that was really a good clearing.
Oh, it was?
Yeah, because I feel a lot better.
Oh, you do? A little time went by and that's it?
Really feel a lot better.
Close your eyes and go into the I want to hide part of it. And tell me
Okay.
what happens.
well, I sort of narrate, Mr. Smythe holds up and says.
No, I
this is
didn't
an
ask you to
example
do
of
that. Do it right. Come on.
Well, I'm trying to move to the place where I need to hide.
She's put these together. These are really crappy, by the way, CDs that she's done. I mean, somebody actually bought a set of these and then gave them to me because they didn't like them. I mean, the artwork is bad.
That actually brings tears.
Okay, good. I guess that's good. Okay. What does it remind you of? What does it remind you of?
Shame, humiliation.
Is this a Mr. Smythe one?
Well, it certainly feels similar.
Okay.
It feels the same, yeah, it really does.
It feels the same, but, well, okay. We'll just do this while we're feeling the same.
Yeah,
okay?
yeah.
Even though Gary thinks they're crappy.
Even though Gary thinks they're crappy.
And he made fun of them.
We made fun of
He
them.
didn't even listen to them.
Didn't even listen to them.
Okay. A Mr. Smythe look-alike.
A Mr. Smythe look like.
Probably the same age by now.
Probably the same age by now.
It's my response there. I even
My
knew
response.
Gary was kidding.
I even knew Gary was kidding, that's
you knew
true.
that logically, did you
That's
not?
true, I did. I knew it
Okay.
logically.
Okay.
Yeah, I knew it.
My response.
My response.
I need to hide.
Need to hide.
I need to hide.
Need to hide.
My response.
My response.
It really hurts.
Really hurts.
Can't take the criticism.
Can't take the
Now,
criticism.
as I'm doing this, please notice that we're doing this fairly globally,
Yeah.
okay? Because criticism and wanting to hide and all of that
Yeah.
has table legs under it.
Yeah,
I don't think we're going to have time at this point to do a lot of table legs for that,
it's okay.
okay? But I want to get you to where,
Yeah. Okay.
okay? You really are pretty crappy.
That was okay.
That was okay?
Strangely enough.
Oh, I'm not going to listen to them.
Well, they're
Why
not,
would
they're
I
not
listen?
for,
I have more things to do than listen to your music or whatever's on those things.
they're not for everybody.